Yep, and so it starts a full new one. We're all good. So that's how we do it.
Okay.
So between each game, cut it and shut it and rename it, and that way people can go back and find each game.
Yeah.
So if you pause this, then we don't end up downloading as well as uploading.
Yeah.
And how's our data usage going?
How do you want?
So we're basically using 400 megs an hour.
Now what are we on now? 18M.
Yeah.
There you go.
Whoa.
Hello. Hi.
It's open there.
Yep.
And we're off again with the New Zealand under-18 men's blue team in white against the Australian under-18 men's B team in black. They've just started off. They're smashing it down the wall. The New Zealanders in white here and blue bathers. Australia clears it back to the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
They just love playing in that blind spot where our cameras can't see, can't they? They've cleared it out. New Zealand looking to attack the tray, and the man on the outside looks like he's about to put it in.
Yeah,
He has help to do so, and that's the first goal early for New Zealand.
How many? Yeah, yeah.
Number 13. I think that's right, Brads.
He's wearing a 13 cap.
Well, the player who scored that was wearing a 13 cap, but according to my records, there's no number 13 on the New Zealand team. 13. Oh, so there is. Oh, it's my mistake. Thanks to my helpful advisors here, I've managed to spot the 13. James Ramsbottom scoring that first goal for New Zealand. And New Zealand is getting to the puck much faster than the Australians. Australia rolls it off, and they're looking for the wall here. Really trying to protect that puck. And he's done a good job. He's got it to the wall. We'll see if his team can make any ground up there. New Zealand is down in numbers, but the Australians aren't giving up. New Zealand 45 it towards the middle, and they're looking for the goals again. Australia providing solid defense. Rolls it around, looking for support into the middle. He's found his support. That's a good swim by that New Zealander. Putting it towards the goal, but it's cleared off to the far side by the Australians. Off into the far corner, and that's a call from the refs chopping against Australia. It doesn't look like they want to call it a penalty goal. They're just content with a free. So one of the Australians, obviously, when taking the puck off the New Zealander, has chopped his arm with his stick. The New Zealanders are going to get a really good shot at goals here. Swimming in, just bombing that flick right into the middle of the tray. And it looks like the Australians have managed to keep it out, for now at least. Bit of rotation on the back wall, and the Australians really pushing up that side wall. They've cleared it out to the 3 or 4 metre line. And are making a battle of it up that wall. We'll see if they want to take it off either team. But no, just swimming. The Australians pushing really hard. And lots of numbers down for both teams. You can see that white cap there, really eager to break out into the middle for New Zealand. And that's a foul against New Zealand. That was barging. Very easy to do, especially when you're down the wall. Very easy to just get your body where it shouldn't be, especially when people are flicking through you. But Australia going to take this free. Looks like they're just going to keep swimming it straight down the wall. And they've got good numbers and good strength on the bottom here. New Zealand conceding a little bit of ground, but here we go. The New Zealanders have got multiple people down. And they say, you want to play wall game? That's fine by us. And as soon as I say that, off the wall it comes. New Zealand straight into the middle and then flicks back onto the wall, hoping to catch the Australians by surprise. It's bottled back up there now, and New Zealand back out on the 45. It looks like the Australians Not quite quick enough there. Too many New Zealand numbers over the top, and that's another goal. Another goal by number 13, James Ramsbottom. That's a really good job by the New Zealanders there, just getting multiple players over the top of the play, so when the flick goes through, they're just able to monster it into the goal past that last Australian defender. As the refs just bring the puck back into the middle. We'll wait for the buzzer to kick it off again. New Zealand is first to the puck again. Ooh, cleaned up by that Australian, but he's got support behind him, ready to flick it back. And a bit of a break here for New Zealand. It looks like they've got out ahead of the last Australian and they've flicked it into the goals. Really impressive. The Australians will need to make sure. Number two for New Zealand, Sam Hopgood. No?
Forrest Axford.
Oh, Forrest Axford. My mistake. But yeah, the Australians really needing to maybe reset their defense line and get numbers a bit further back to protect against those breaks. New Zealand got a bit of momentum now. Big flick into the 50-50. New Zealand punching it through onto the wall. And they've got numbers behind. Looks like they're looking for a rip into a 45, but Australia managing to push it through. Not conceding the puck to New Zealand for that rip around. And it's a free, it looks like a chopping call against New Zealand. So he's just reached past the puck there and gotten his bat onto the other player's stick. And Black has called a timeout. That's the Australian team. So the Coach Robertisso, will have a minute to talk with his players. Give them a bit of the hard word, bit of a motivational speech. New Zealanders also, looks like their coach has something to talk to them about. Maybe just saying they've done a good job so far. All of the Australian team members come in off the sub bench to listen to their coach. New Zealanders content to leave the four on the bench. They reckon they've got a pretty good hold so far. We've got 5 seconds until the buzzer goes. This will be Australia's free puck. They've got the stack set up in the middle. They've got the man wide. We'll see what number 7 chooses to do. Matthew Kennedy taking that free puck for Australia. And New Zealand have quickly dispossessed him though. They've got one man down the middle, looks right for his support. Australia managing to push it off to the wall. A lot of numbers on the bottom for both teams here. Slightly more for Australia, just looking out over the pool here from the commentator's booth. And it looks like they've really just stored it up on the wall. We'll see if New Zealand are able to break onto the goal. Yeah, here we go. Down the back wall they go. Australia scrambling to get numbers. And the refs have called it. That was gloving for New Zealand. Probably just gloving it down the wall a bit there. And you can get away with a bit of gloving as long as you don't get an advantage for it. But down the wall, very hard to not get pulled up. Australia taking their free quickly. We'll see what they want to do with it. Looks like they're just happy to stay on the wall. They reckon as long as you're confined to the wall, you can't do those big aggressive breaks we've seen from New Zealand so far this game. But New Zealand got a bit of space now, lots of numbers. The Australian defender coming down. That's a great effort from him. Looks like he's knocked down the New Zealand flick. And he's really going up that wall, looking for support. And Australia once again defend. They've got it bottled up right near their sub bench. A lot of subs coming over for Australia. Getting fresh players in the water. YouTube. We're streaming on YouTube.
So what do you look up? Look up on YouTube.
It's another foul here, and it's against New Zealand again. Not sure what that was for. Australia takes the puck, looks into the middle, into the stack. New Zealand chopping it down quickly. He's got the roll and back onto the wall. That's safe space for Australia. But New Zealand now, multiple people streaming down that side wall. And down into the middle there. And you can see every time a New Zealand player gets it knocked behind him or curls around, there's another one there just to grab the puck and keep that strong roll going. The flick looks like it gets knocked down, but enough New Zealand players there to put it in the goal. The refs are calling. It's the referee's timeout, actually. One of the refs thought he saw something. It might have been that big flick into the middle by that New Zealand back. Might have thought that was a bit dangerous. But the refs are conferring. And it's no goal called. It was actually an illegal knockdown by one of the New Zealand players that led to that play. And New Zealand now have called a timeout. Looks like the coach just wants to give his boys a rest. Maybe talk about how the Australians have been bottling it up on the wall. Seems like quite effective defense against the New Zealanders. A couple of the New Zealand players having a word to the ref. Maybe just wanting to clarify what that last call was about. I'm sure it's all very respectful in the water though. Jack Robertiso coming in, telling his players a couple of quick words. He doesn't look overly fussed. So in 20 seconds this will be an Australian free for chopping. Looks like it's just on that 3-metre line out from the Australian goal tray. We'll see if they want to take it into the middle or just go back to the safety of the wall. Number 7 for Australia, taking this one, Matthew Kennedy. And it looks like he's happy to go into the middle. Curling around. Not enough, too many New Zealanders, but there's his support, smashing it back onto that sub-bench wall. The New Zealanders have got support wide. We'll see if they can get to them. There's the push out. And there's the man behind. It looks like that's going to go in. A valiant effort by these under 18 B squad Australian team. But too many New Zealanders down. And really good teamwork by them to put in that goal. It looked for a second like it was going to get cleared. But that was not the case. And that brings the score to 4-0 with 5 minutes left in this first half. New Zealand get to the puck first again, takes it off to the right. Not interested in trying to get through all those Australian players. But with support, they're really smashing it down that right-hand side. Australia gets it, switches it back into the middle. Big flick. Looks like it's been chopped down by the New Zealanders. New Zealand back on the offensive again, into the middle. One-on-one on the goal tray. New Zealand has the numbers. And that's a goal for New Zealand. Australia a bit risky wanting to take it into the middle there. Number 10 for New Zealand. Ola Randall scoring that goal. Yeah, and Australia really wanted to take it away from that strong drive in the middle. But he couldn't commit to go all the way across the pool. Had to flick it back into the middle. And the New Zealanders were there waiting with their numbers and their drive. And that's 5 goals for the New Zealand team. And 0 for the Australian development team. New Zealand looking into the middle now. The Australians are pushing back, but he's got a man. He's going straight back into the middle. There's 2 Australian defenders left. Rolls around. And Australia looks like they're going to be able to clear it to the wall. They've got a winger there. And that's great work by that Kiwi. He's chopped down that flick and forced it back onto the New Zealand defensive. Lots of bodies in the middle of the pool. Very dangerous for Australia. And looks like they've just managed to sneak a flick through. But the refs are calling no goal. It was a chopping call against New Zealand. They've had a few of those this game. Doesn't look like the refs want to give them a team warning yet, though. Probably all just incidental little fouls. Nothing deemed too malicious. But another reprieve for the Australian under-18 development squad. And they're going to have a chance to take this one back out to safety. And that's what they've done. They've opted straight onto that side wall. And they've held it here quite successfully so far this half. It's only when the New Zealanders managed to get it out into space that they look dangerous. And speaking of which, big 45. Australia does well to clear, but will they have the man behind? Into the corner by number 7. And the refs have called him up. Chopping call. And I would imagine that's against number 7, Matthew Kennedy. Good clearance by him, but the refs saw a bit of chopping. And they've pulled the puck back, and they're going to give New Zealand a go at the goals. New Zealand down late. The flick comes through. Cleared by Australia, but the reload looks like it's going to go into the goals. And that's a goal for New Zealand. Another one. Number 2 for New Zealand, Sam Hopgood, putting in another goal for New Zealand. That's his 2nd of the game. Oh no, Forrest Axford, sorry. Thank you, Alex Johnson on YouTube. I'm doing my best. New Zealand is taking it again. Back to the Australian halfback, who looks like he's going to be able to find a bit of room. Looking for support down the right-hand wing. The New Zealanders have got it. And they've got a bit of space in the middle. Knocking it back. Australia really just don't have any time to get the puck on their bats. Yeah, every time one of these Australian backs gets the puck on their bat, seems like there's 2 New Zealanders there immediately snatch it back. And that's another goal. Number 3 for New Zealand. Number 3, Sam Hopgood, scoring that goal. And that'll be the end of the first half as the last 10 seconds on the clock tick down. And the score is 7 to the white New Zealand team and 0 for the Australian development team. The referees have just signalled there's a minute left in half time. Jack Robertiso gathering his boys around him, imparting some final words of wisdom. The New Zealanders all lining up on the side of the pool as their coach maybe just gives them a bit of a pat on the back. 7-0, not a bad start, but I'm sure there's always a lot to improve on. Players going back to their sub benches now. Oh, and we'll see whether the New Zealanders can keep the momentum going from the first half, improve on it, or maybe the Australians are about to fight back, score a goal. They got one goal against the New Zealand white team yesterday, so I'm sure they're looking to for a repeat performance on that one. And with the last 10 seconds on the clock, all the players look very focused. New Zealand hitting that puck first, flicking to their wing, ready to take it through the middle. Looks like Australia's managed to clear it to the wall, but New Zealand just had the momentum, pushing it down towards the corner. And 2-on-1 here on the goals. The Australian just managing to knock down that flick, but too much support, and it's a very early goal from New Zealand. Number 6 from New Zealand, Finn Hollingsworth, putting in that goal. It looks like maybe what their coach had to say to them was just harden up down the wall, boys. Because while the Australians looked like they were really holding it on the wall in the last half, the New Zealanders just really turned the tides against them there. New Zealand hitting the puck first again. Big wide swim. And dispossessed by the Australians, looking for a back. New Zealand are over the top there. Not sure who has possession. Looks like a flick down the middle. Number 8 for Australia, taking that puck. And they're pushing down the wall, but New Zealand have cleared it wide, looking for that switch or 45 drive. Australia screening him wide, but doesn't have the legs. New Zealand are right around him, onto the opposite side wall. He's gained a lot of ground there with that switch. Australia looks to have caught up though. They've got the people down. And New Zealand, another big wide drive, really finding that outside man. We'll see if Australia can hold, and they can't. A lot of strength on that outside New Zealand when they get those breaks. And that's number 7 for New Zealand scoring that goal. Logan Stevenson. Bringing the score to 9-0 in the New Zealand blue team's favour. And they're off again. Much closer this time on the puck. Australia actually gets there first, but New Zealand managed to push it through. Really driving straight down the middle there.
they're trying out.
Test? Alright, sorry about that. Everyone, apparently I was away for a while. I'm back now. The score is white. That's the New Zealand blue team is on 12, 0 for the Australian development team in the black caps. Looks like New Zealand's got another big drive coming on here, although Australia very eager to clear it out. New Zealand takes a flick down the wall, swims onto it, but looks back for his man behind him. And they've curled around, looking to reload into the centre here. New Zealand is back onto the wall now, down the back wall, looking to take the Australians by surprise, maybe disrupt their rotation a bit. The Australians have cleared into the corner and driving down the back wall. We'll see if the New Zealanders have enough. And it looks like they've ripped it right out and are planning on going all the way across the pool. Might have been cut down there by an Australian, but there was just too many New Zealanders. Can't quite see. The New Zealanders now, big stream. Looks like they've got the numbers. Australia, last man, tries to knock that off to the side, but the New Zealanders just... No, it looks like the refs have called a no goal, and that was a legal knockdown against the New Zealanders, possibly during that switch. So the Australians now pushing back out onto the 3 metre line, even further out into the middle of the pool, and it looks like they're going to take the puck, big flick out to the side, trying to clear it back to that wall, that safety. New Zealand have the numbers around the outside though. Really coming back into the middle now. Only one Australian defender left and they've got the last man. Looks like they're going to be able to flick it straight into the goal. That's really good teamwork there by New Zealand. Number 4 from New Zealand, Moss Grenfell, scoring that goal. And they know when to take it wide, they know when to bring it in. And a couple of holes in this Australian under-18 development side, just allowing them to exploit. And that's a timeout for the white team. The New Zealand team have called a timeout. The coach is coming over to his boys. Yeah, I guess just letting them know they're doing a good job. Jack Robertisso over there with the Australian team, maybe telling them the secret they need to patch up this defense and keep out the New Zealanders a little longer. A lot of the players that were watching this game are now warming up. We've got the players for the Australian under-18 men's A team and the New Zealand under-18 men's silver team warming up for the next game here. I can see the coach of the Australian under-18 men's team, Steve Cleary, watching his boys warm up. And with 5 seconds left, looks like both teams are ready to go. And they're off again. New Zealand not wasting any time to get to the bottom here. Really want to every last second that can get them closer to the puck. And it's been cleared out to the far wall. Australia, actually, no, New Zealand driving. New Zealand driving down there. It looks like they've brought it into the middle a little bit, but Australia's cleared back to the corner. You can see those hungry New Zealanders waiting for a bite of the puck. Seeing if they can stream around the outside. And here we go. The flick, knocked down. Reload into the middle. It looks like the New Zealanders just had that extra man waiting around the back. Great knockdown by the Australian under-18 development player. Number 6, Finn Hollingsworth, finishing off that goal for New Zealand. And the Australian team are really going to need to stop these deadly reloads by the New Zealand team if they're going to want to keep out these goals. The refs lining up again now. Doesn't look like they're going to waste any time. And here go the players. A little bit tired now, coming into the end of the second half. The New Zealand squad straight through the middle again. And it looks like the contest has been pushed off to the end. Reloads back into the centre. Multiple New Zealand players down, looking for that 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 drive into the goal. And here we go, last two players. Great work by that New Zealand player. I'll tell you who it is in a minute. Number 4 from New Zealand, muscling up 1-on-1 to put that last goal in. Number 4 for New Zealand, that is Moss Grenfell. And yeah, because he saw the puck, saw the goals, everything lined up for him, and he was able to bully off that Australian player. And the refs obviously happy that with his body work, thought it was all legit and above board. Here go the players again, much closer to the contest of the puck, and it looks like Australia's been able to rip it round, but New Zealand get the final possession, pushing it in. Australia trying to clear, the flick goes in, and he's stopped it, pushing up the back wall, and New Zealanders don't quite have enough this time to stop that drive out into the corner, defensive corner for the Australian under-18 team. And they're going down that wall. Doesn't look like they're even interested in taking it out into the center. They just want to push it all the way down the wall, and that's what they're going to be able to do. All the way down that back wall into the goals. And that's another goal for New Zealand, with 4 minutes left in the second half here. And that will be White going up to 16 goals, I believe. And Black on 0. Oh, it's actually no goal. The refs have called that the New Zealanders, that big push down the wall was assisted by a little bit of glove work. Very unlucky for the New Zealanders, but a nice little reprieve for the Australian under-18 development team. And they've used the opportunity, they've taken it out to the wall, out towards their sub-bench. They'll be able to get a few quick subs in. The ref calling advantage, waving his arm. And we'll see what this is about. It looks like chopping, and it's against the New Zealanders. The referee not quite sure that the New Zealanders were contesting the puck as cleanly as they should have been. And good numbers by both teams. A big rip into the middle and a big flick. But the New Zealanders have kept it corralled into the center there, pushing it out back towards the wall. Big drive. They've got the numbers behind. Can't quite see what's happening, unfortunately, but it looks like they're bringing it back out into the middle onto a 45. And Australia's screening it all the way across the goal tray. We'll see if they can stop the curl and back. It looks like they can. And they've pushed it back out to their defensive corner. Australia now really looking for options. You don't want to be caught curling right in front of your own goal tray. That's a recipe for disaster. And I'm not quite sure how, but the puck has gone in the goal tray. Looks like a New Zealander might have just stripped it and done a big flick from just outside the goals there. And that's left us with 2 minutes left. Another goal from New Zealand. Not sure who got that one, unfortunately. They're off again. New Zealand and Australia. New Zealand look like we've got the jump on it this time, and immediately swimming straight into that pack of Australians. No fear, with such a small amount of time left on the clock. And rightly so, they've pushed them all the way back. Looks like they've got another man over the top. We'll see if the Australians can get the men back. And looks like it was just a little bit too slow. And the puck just went in just before that last Australian defender could get back onto the goal tray. Number 2 from New Zealand, Forrest Axford, putting in that goal. 1 minute, 10 seconds left on the clock. And New Zealand determined to put away as many goals as they can before the time runs out. And we're just waiting for the refs to all get ready again. Remember, you do have 30 seconds between each goal if the players want to take it. Big hit by the Australian, but it looks like it spilled through to the other New Zealander, and a big 45. Australia takes possession, but he hasn't got any support. He has to flick straight back into the pack of New Zealanders. Looks like good work by his wingers, though, getting in there, disrupting that puck. And the puck's been cleared out to the opposite side. Possibly New Zealand. And here comes Australia pushing it up. So many New Zealanders just ready to rip off those curls though and reload to their backline. The flick comes through. Australia, one man on the wall. He's got the man behind him. Looks to bring it into the middle. But it looks like the Australian under-18 development team's happy to keep it there on the wall for now, and that's full time. With the final score being 17 goals to the New Zealand under-18 men's blue team in white, and 0 for the Australian B team in black. And we're just going to pause the stream for a moment here to reset, and we'll be back in a little bit with the New Zealand under-18 men's Australian under-18 men's A team and the New Zealand under-18 men's silver team. And we're back with the 2016 Age Group Trans-Tasman Championships in Hobart. Our next game is between the Australian under-18 men's A team in white and the New Zealand under-18 men's team silver in black. And unfortunately we have a slight malfunction with the centre